Hey, welcome to Travel Tuesday Happy Hour, where we interview dope people doing dope things with one thing in common, the love for travel. We have a great guest lined up. Grab a drink, stay tuned. What's going on, travel fam? If you ever thought about starting a podcast, check out Anchor. Anchor is free. Anchor will provide you tools to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast to multiple streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everything you need right in one app. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Tell us who you are and what do you guys do? What do you do and what does your company do?
Well, I am Sandra Yvonne. I am the founder of Tour Amor Travel LLC. And I am originally from Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico. My dad is Black, and he's not Black African American. He's Black Puerto Rican. My mom is
so let's take a couple steps back, right? So you really got we saved the best for last, right? So and the reason I'm bringing this up is there's this misconception of Afro Latino descendants, Afro Latinx, however you want to put it. It's not a thing, right? And let me rephrase it. Not necessarily not a thing. It's not heavily acknowledged, right? Even from those particular islands. So, understand that my color, you can be Dominican, you can be Puerto Rican, you can be Cuban, Nicaraguan. I'm sorry. Nicaraguan. Yeah, you could be from Costa Rica. You could be from anywhere, Brazil. You know what I mean? And and I appreciate you mentioning that. And that's kind of why I love your page and I love the content that you put out, because you focus on not just the Latin aspect. You back to what Kwame was saying, is like, as members of the diaspora, we also should acknowledge that, we are also Black. We are also African. We have those roots. So I appreciate you for doing that whenever you schedule your tours, as well as posting that, because, you could easily have been, well, I'm a fair-skinned Latina or Latinx, or I'm trying to find the PC terms here, right? And you could easily be putting one aspect of that entire group of people, and you choose to display it all. So once again, I appreciate that.
No problem. One thing that I will say for anyone that's watching is that being Black is not monolithic. We feel, that there's a lot of people, like you mentioned, even within the Latino community, who don't acknowledge, I shouldn't say they don't acknowledge it, but they're frowned upon, no different than, it is here in the United States. If you turn on Telemundo today or Univision, you don't see, in prime media, individuals that are darker than myself. You really don't see that. And for me, I think it's important. I mean, I'm fair-skinned because my mom is Mexican, but, anyone that looks at me, they're like, oh, yeah, I see the freckles, I see the melanin, I see everything. I'm like, I can't deny it. It's in my rear, it's in my face, it's in my soul, it's in my spirit. So that's not anything that I can deny. But I started Tour Amor by trade. I am in pharmaceutical sales. But I started Tour Amor, out of a passion to introduce individuals, to one another, to introduce diaspora descendants to one another. Even in my logo, if you notice the little heart, if anybody's never really looked at it, the heart basically, it has Africa and then the Americas. So the goal is to bridge.
I peeped that.
Stay with me. So the goal is to bridge the gap, amongst diaspora descendants, whether that be within, the Americas, Africa back to the Americas, North America down to South America. We speak Spanish due to colonization. This was not the Americas in the past. This was known as something else. But if you take a look at the transatlantic slave trade maps, we were dropped off in different, locations. And one thing is for certain, that our culture continues to bring us together. It binds us together. It binds us together through religion. It binds us together, through music. If you go to Puerto Rico, the town where my, grandparents grew up in, Loíza or Carolina, you'll still see the live, drums, the congas, all of that, are derivatives of the music that we play in the homeland in Africa. Salsa, those rhythms originated, from the son, which originated, again, from African rhythms as well, and jazz, concoction together. So to me, I think it's important, to share that with the world, to introduce individuals. When we travel, we have a full, cultural immersion experience. We do that by the food that we eat. We do that by the music that we dance. We do that by the religions that are practiced in that area. And it's a rounded about experience. I say that we offer culture, education, and adventure. A little bit of both, a little bit of everything.
And food. I'm all about, I travel for food.
Mucha comida, mucho food.
See, I will eat all day. I will eat. Look, I was telling you earlier, look, you find me a trip that I can make. Oh man, I'll be probably the first person that, I'm like, we're going to try this, and this.
Gotcha.
So what triggered your bug to travel? Like, I know for me it was, and similar to a lot of children of immigrant descent, going back and forth home, right? Like I remember my first flight was going to Haiti at 6 years old. I mean, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was like, I got on a plane, I went to another country, and then fast forward college and then post-college, it was just the taste of seeing something different. Like, what really triggered your desire to want to travel and see the world?
So I will be, very honest. When I grew up in Puerto Rico, I was born there. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico up until the age of 10. And the few times that we had left the island was to come visit, my grandparents when they spent the winters in New York, or from my dad's side, or then from my mom's side, they lived in California and Texas. So we either spent the summers, with the Mexican side of the family or the Black Puerto Rican side of the family in New York. So we never really traveled outside of those areas. But in Puerto Rico, growing up in a 14-acre farm, we had horses, we had cows, we had everything. So we traveled all around the island exploring. One of the tips given earlier was explore where you come from. A lot of people haven't even left their own zip code. You mentioned earlier about New York. You haven't even, my own family in New York, they're like, I've never been to the Empire State Building. I'm like, you what?
Listen, and they all live in the Bronx, so don't worry about it. There's so much in the Bronx to explore.
I've never been to Battery Park.
Oh my God.
That. I'm like, oh God, you're not my family. To me, it's not even about it. When people ask me what are your favorite places to travel, to me, I can't even name them because every place I go, there's some type of connection. To me, I look forward to exploring and connecting with individuals wherever I go. So for me, I became a single parent at a young age. So I raised 2 kids on my own. And truth be told, I didn't have money to travel. So I used to pack my kids in a car, go somewhere around Florida on a full tank of gas and make it work. So I used to drive around these back roads and I used to tell my kids, we're in the country. So my son thought that we were out of the country. And you know what? They believed that dream for a long time.
That's all that matters.
Okay. And that's okay. But it wasn't until 2016 that I told, by then my kids were out the house, not my payroll, but they were out the house. I decided, I am going to stamp my passport because we traveled, cruises and things of the sort, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. So in 2016, that's when I took my first international trip. I went to Barbados, and you can't tell me nothing now.
What?
I haven't stopped.
So Instagram is about to cut me off. So tell us one last thing that you would like people to know. You have about 10 seconds. Sorry.
So I would say, please join our page because we have
another dope conversation. Keep traveling and stay safe. Until next time, peace.